Hi everybody, welcome to a very special episode of the Nerditorium. I'm Tejas, this is Jishnu.
Hi! And today, we're talking about porn. Why not? So, I'll be totally honest, when we first decided to do this show, this video series, one of the first thoughts I had was, this means we can now extrapolate on one of our very first podcast episodes where we talked about porn for like an hour on the podcast about sci-fi and comic book parody movies, which are hilarious.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge industry. And
so why again are we talking about
because now we can cut to the trailers.
Oh, that's true.
In theory, this is where they're playing.
Okay.
So there are a couple of movies that have come out in the last few years, ever since sci-fi and mainly comic book movies have gotten humongous with like a giant market worldwide.
Too many innuendos.
Just behave yourself.
I'm going to behave myself.
Behave yourself.
I'm going to fidget spin through this episode.
So since these movies have gotten so big, obviously there's a big audience out there that want to consume everything about this. There are a lot of fan fiction movies that already exist.
Yeah.
So somebody decided, well, let's insert sex into those as well.
Insert being the operative word.
Behave yourself. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that pretty much every single tentpole big blockbuster comic book film that's what woman?
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I'm a child.
Every single tentpole blockbuster movie that's come out in the last decade or so, pretty much the same week of the release of the actual film itself.
Yeah.
There's been a porn parody release. In some cases before even.
Before the movie comes out.
Like,
why? Do they think people get confused and say, hey wait, is this that? We should go check this out. Do these release straight to DVD or like what do they do?
Well, they don't play them in theaters anymore if that's what you're asking.
Okay, cool, alright. These movies still play in theaters, like, don't
porn?
they?
In theaters? Well, I haven't been to that country yet, so I don't know. But
fair enough.
If they do, I don't know where that happens. But no, so it's actually kind of impressive how quickly they make them. And in some cases, I've seen, like Suicide Squad, for example.
Actually,
I genuinely thought that plot for the porn parody was better than the plot of the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
And they did justice to the Joker character a lot better than I think
Jared
Leto did.
Oh my
because
gosh.
just the way the Harley Quinn Joker thing, it's basically Harley Quinn is in a psychiatric ward and then she gets busted out by other members of the Suicide Squad who are also in the prison as well. And the Joker is a really high levels prisoner, basically.
Right.
And so the whole plot goes, the Suicide Squad are out, and then they meet up, and they're wreaking havoc across, I think it's Arkham Asylum, actually, probably.
Okay.
And Batman and company are there to try and fight them and whatever. And basically, the ace in the hole is that the Suicide Squad busts out the Joker.
Right.
And then when they bust out the Joker, then it's like, yay, we win, and if they sort of leave it, they leave it on a cliffhanger when it's basically Harley, the Joker, and Batman have a threesome. And they're like, oh, well, we'll see how this finishes. And you see how it finishes. but they leave it open for the sequel.
Nice. So I'm not a prude, but I've mostly enjoyed my erotic parodies in the form of literature.
I love that we're doing this episode.
I read a lot. I read a lot of erotica. I think that's the in the sense of like if you're watching that much of porn parodies, I think my equivalent is in the form of fanfiction. And I'll tell you why. Because some of the fanfiction is really good. And how I discovered this was I stumbled upon it innocently as a younger man.
Sure.
And for research. And I was basically, I think it was in the time when we were in school and the Harry Potter saga was unfolding, painfully slow. I mean, like, it was basically, there was a big gap between, I think, maybe Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And so I think to satiate all the fans, like basically, there was a lot of fan fiction that was going around. And so I read my share. And then I came across one which was different. What was it
called?
I can't remember for the life of me, but I can tell you a few details which have stuck with me till date. And they had some really good, interesting plot points. And why I bring it up is apart from the quality of the writing, which was exceptional. It was like J.K. Rowling returning it. It was really good. So basically what happens after the Goblet of Fire is that Dumbledore teaches Harry to become an animagus.
Yeah.
Okay? And so he decides to be a griffin. Like the Gryffindor. Like, it's cool.
That's plausible.
It's plausible. And basically, I think the author just didn't like Ron Weasley because he really skillfully exits Ron out of the story and makes Hermione and Harry Potter bang. And that's what happens. Now, here's the other thing. this book, because it came out before Order of the Phoenix, successfully predicted one of the biggest plot points of the Harry Potter series, which is the prophecy. And the whole prophecy of being, the person who's born, at this time is going to be the one to vanquish the Lord. He wrote that out, and so when I read it in the books, I was just like, wait, I've read this before somewhere. And then I realized it was in an erotic version of Harry Potter. So yeah, so I think there's what about takeaway? They put a lot of effort.
There's a lot of love in these movies, no pun intended.
Yeah,
there is a lot of
effort into the production, the quality of the writing, or in this case, so we were just watching a few trailers.
That just sounds weird.
We watched a few trailers.
We did watch a few trailers
for research.
For research purposes.
Yeah.
The Star Wars A New Hope parody is exceptional. Like across the board. I genuinely mean that. The amount of the level of detail that they have in that movie to like really tiny references is absurd, and they put a lot of money into it. I mean, when you look at that trailer, you just see like the visual effects work in that. It's pretty legit.
It's not legit.
It's not big screen worthy, but it is. It holds up. It holds up to most other fan fiction movies we've seen. We've actually talked about. There's a movie called. The People versus George Lucas, which shows you a whole bunch, hundreds of fan fiction films of Star Wars. And the porn parody, I think, has a better production value than most of those movies. It's huge. They put a lot of money and time into it.
You can see that. We were talking about this just before starting. I was like, wow, this is such a great opportunity for the porn stars to kind of like flex their acting muscles. Like they get a chance to act. Like the guy who's playing the Joker. That's a dream. Okay, that very few people get to live out.
Yeah.
Okay, and like few people, like there have only been like 4 Jokers, right? Or 5 if you count Mark Hamill. I don't know why I'm adding him to this conversation.
Yeah, whatever.
But and this guy gets to play the Joker for millions of people in that sense.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that's cool. I think that's worth talking about. We've talked about it now.
Okay. And I will make mention of it got such. It picked up such traction as the Star Wars parody that it was obviously a big. I think it was over $1 million production.
Wow.
There are only a handful of movies, I believe, that have had budgets that big, and the Star Wars one was one of them. And it was such a big fan favorite that they tried, and unfortunately they failed, but they tried to raise money for Empire Strikes Back because they probably because I mean it's no secret people pirate porn, and so like it's not an industry that makes a lot of money, even though there is a lot of money pumped into it because there are a lot of people that obviously are invested in it, but people don't pay for porn. It's no secret.
About the business of porn.
Yep, because it's our show and we can do this.
This is true.
But so they tried to fundraise for Empire Strikes Back, and they only got like a fifth of the way there. I think they were trying to make like $1 million or 500,000 or something like that.
Stuff, man. Stuff.
And there was no way they were going to do it. Of course, they didn't, which sucks. But I have no conclusion to this. There's no end thesis here.
Basically,
I'm just letting you know that this stuff exists.
Don't judge them. They're all doing it for the love of the project.
I highly recommend Wolverine, by the way. Complete non sequitur. There's nothing to do with anything.
Oh, actually,
it's the most amazing trailer I've seen in my life.
I have seen one of these.
Which one?
The Walking Dead one. That's my bit of the story. It's fine. It's totally fine. In fact, they're truer to the source material than the show is. So there you go.
If you want to see something really disturbing, you could watch SpongeBob SquarePants. That exists.
What? How?
It's a thing.
Is it animated?
No, that's what's great. Simpsons also exists. All practical effects. If we're talking about digital versus practical, that's all practical. Yellow head to toe.
Okay. All
yeah.
Right. I think we've done enough damage.
Cool,
here.
We should leave now.
Let us know what you think about your favorite porn parodies are, or if you have any recommendations for erotica. Just, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to share this video, or maybe you can skip this one.
Maybe don't share. Yeah, it's cool.
But don't do this one. And definitely remember to subscribe. That would be very nice. We have other episodes which we don't talk about this kind of stuff. Alright, see you later, you nerds.
Sorry.